Hello, What's on Stage podcast fans. It is Alex here with another juicy midweek episode. I have three guests joining me for this episode of the What's on Stage podcast: Kerry Ellis, Rachel Tucker, and Louise Dearman. The trio will be coming together for a special concert at Theatre Royal Drury Lane at the end of August, and ahead of that, wanted to talk about the legacy of Wicked the musical, as well as what fans can expect when they unite on stage for the first time together. Kerry Ellis joined the original London cast of Wicked back in 2006 and went on to play Elphabas in the West End from 2007. She also transferred to play Elphabas on Broadway in 2008 before returning to Elphabas in the West End in December 2008 for a further 5 months. Rachel Tucker starred as Elphaba from 2010 opposite Louise Dearman and played through to 2012 before she in turn also transferred to Broadway from 2015. She then returned to the West End production of Wicked for a further limited season in 2016 to celebrate the show's 10th anniversary. Louise Dearman holds the record for being the only actress to have played both witches, Elphaba and Glenda, in Wicked full-time. In 2010, she played Glenda in the West End opposite Rachel Tucker, before taking over from Tucker in the show in the West End in 2012. She performed the role until the autumn of 2013. Three Wicked legends now appearing together on stage, and before that, appearing together on this podcast.
Very exciting news story that came in. Theatre Royal Drury Lane, end of August. A colossal reunion for Wicked legends. It feels like it's almost like, why hasn't this happened sooner, I guess would be the question, as in, you know, all three of you are so beloved within both the musical theatre community and the Wicked community that why now was the question I wanted to start with, to come together as a collective.
It's not that we haven't been asked to do this kind of thing before, but it's never felt like the right time and the time that we want to do it and the show that we want it to be. So now we've just created this show that we're really proud of and really excited to perform, and there's a hell of a lot still to do and to learn, but we wanted it to be a challenge. And the great bit about it is that the kind of banter, the chat, and the genuine friendship is what makes this easy. That's the easy bit.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be a lot of fun.
And Kerry, I guess we were actually plotting for the What's on Stage Awards, and we were thinking it's 20 years since Wicked opened at the Apollo Vic next year. And obviously you were there at that moment. And did you guys know when you're inside that theatre, sort of when, you know, the initial sort of wave of audiences were coming in, that like, this is a show that's going to last 20 years. It's going to become like this West End staple in such a huge, incredible venue like the Apollo Victoria?
No, not at all. I mean, 20 years is a bit depressing, isn't it? Wow, that doesn't seem like that at all. It doesn't seem 20 years. No, not at all. I mean, when we were rehearsing in Bromley by Bow, and it's big studios, it's wonderful, and obviously everybody was there. We had, you know, Joe Mantello and Stephen Aremus and Stephen Schwartz, and, you know, everybody was there, and it was a big setup. So you know that there's a lot of excitement and confidence in the show to even be rehearsing in that kind of environment. But the show had only been open in New York for I think it was, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. So we knew it was a success there, but we didn't know it was still a long-term success. We didn't know that it was kind of having this rebirth, really. And with the movie, of course, it's brought to a whole generation of young people. You know, I don't know about the girls, but suddenly, like, my kids, they didn't really care that I'd even been a part of the show, but then suddenly the movie came out and then they got it. It kind of made sense to them. So for me, I assume that's happened to a whole new generation of young people, and it's the gift that keeps giving, you know. So the fact that it was successful all those years ago, I think it's probably even more successful now. It's worldwide. It's, you know, we sing these songs all over the world still 20 years on, and it still has that connection with people, and I think it will continue to do so. I really do.
In terms of that connection, it feels like you guys were one of those early shows where fandom felt something completely different, where, you know, you'd have people get really invested in shows like an Andrew Lloyd Webber musical in the 90s, but Wicked felt like it developed a fandom that was on a whole other level. And I think that, you know, they would jump into the books, they would plunder the lore, they would compare different takes on the war cry from Defying Gravity, they would be recording clips on their very old mobile phones and then posting them on whichever social media network. And that felt like Wicked was the blueprint for so many shows that came later. And but also I think at the heart of it is a show that it celebrated diversity, it celebrated community, it celebrated acceptance, that it was the perfect time for that show to have that community form around it. Did you feel that quite pronounced, like in a quite pronounced way when you were part of the production?
I mean, I thought it was absolutely wild when I went into it. I'd never, ever experienced anything like it before. To come out of stage door after every show and there be like just rows of people waiting. But when you speak to those fans and you talk to them about why they love Wicked so much, their love for it, and everything that you said about that kind of community, the diversity, the embracing what's different about each and every one of us, young people in particular really connect with that. I think that's why people just love it so much. But yeah, they're pretty hardcore, loyal. Yeah, I mean, we've all laughed and eye rolled at the kind of comparison things, you know, the kind of, I've definitely had, what's your riff? Why aren't you doing a riff? And I'm like, listen, love, it's hard enough to sing that as it is, let alone add in any higher notes. I'm just going to do what I can. But it's also joyful, you know, it's just them getting really excited about each and every different person that's going into the show. It's lovely, but wild.
There's fans you meet at like Hadestown, the stage door. They have come. Their friendship is as long as they met at stage door, and there's now and see either Lou, Kerry, and I individually or together. Only together they have made such friendships because they were at stage door maybe twice a week, 3 times a week together. So they have genuinely made friendships because of Wicked. So it's, to them, it was more than just a show, and they'll tell you their stories. And, you know, people from New York and London are like best friends that I know because, you know, the meeting at stage door. So it really is more than a show for a lot of people. And it's how they've made friendships in their own lives, you know.
It was slightly ahead of its time, you know. It talked about diversity and people being accepted and friendships and looking kind of outside the box, and it was a bigger it's a bigger topic now, but it wasn't 20 years ago. Whereas now we're a lot more open about talking about that kind of thing, and there is a lot more diversity around. There is a lot more of, you know, people being taken for who they are, and that's more accepted now. And it wasn't like that when the show opened, so it really was kind of breaking and pushing boundaries.
Yeah.
And it's still kind of doing that now, which is so brilliant. But and again, the movie does that. The movie really spreads it even further, and it's wonderful to have been part of that, of such a something that's really made a difference. It really has changed people.
Do you guys have like an unofficial sort of community of former or current Elphaba and Glendas where you sort of trade notes or sort of get the latest gossip from backstage?
The Elphaba graveyard. No, we don't actually, but you know, anytime, you know, you meet an ex-Elphaba for the first time, you're like, you get it right. But how rewarding it was, you know, it's all of it.
Yeah, there's definitely like a sisterhood, isn't there? And exactly as you say, there's an understanding of how brilliant but brutal those roles are. And but there's so much support within that little Wicked community. It is lovely, little sisterhood.
I'm thrilled to hear that Wicked have come to their senses and give the Elphaba a 7-show week now. 20 years too late. A 7-show week.
Just to reminisce, I was at the European premiere for the Wicked film at the South Bank Centre, and then just before the film started, I saw all of you guys sort of like processing it, like coming in a procession. I turned to my wife who was with me, and I was like, "They've just done something together, I can tell." And then there was that amazing photo of all the sort of reunions, and then you guys sort of embracing Ariana and Cynthia as like this whole new wave of sort of like Glenda and Elphaba. What was that like hanging out together, being at the South Bank Centre together? Because it felt historic in many ways, and something that people have been waiting for since the day that they first saw Wicked at the Apollo Vic. They were waiting for this big screen experience.
when we were doing the show, I mean, the people were asking, was there going to be a movie back then? Lou and I was in together. Like they were like, there's talk of a movie. It's like, and look how long it's taken, how long they've waited. So you're right, it was historic, and I felt like I was thrilled we were asked to be there and be part of it, and to be part of that history. And we individually, have made Wicked what it is, like and together, obviously, and as a team. But I mean, we're part of that, and it was really lovely to be recognized and be up there having our photograph with Cynthia and Ariana, sorry, and all of us that have, they stood on our shoulders and how we built it, and that the name that Wicked has in its own right, but via us as well, us faithfuls and us performers and artists, and our own stamp we brought to each character. Lou doing the double, of course, being able to do it twice. So it was beautiful. It was a lovely full circle moment, I thought, for us.
Yeah, it's lovely. A huge sense of pride to be in that lineup. Really, really incredible.
Yeah.
They've said it all. It was, yeah. And it was nice, like, again, for us to get together.
Yeah.
I mean, what's interesting and hilarious about this concert that we're doing is getting us together. We don't get together because all of us are so busy. I mean, our group chats go off because it's wonderful. We can communicate. But the three of us are so busy that we never get to see each other or hang out. And so an event like that is actually, quite selfishly, really amazingly socially for us, because we get to chat, we get to be in the same place at the same time. There's no pressure on us. We don't have to do anything. So we just have to be there. And that was wonderful, to just be able to chat to each other, be there.
Take it in.
And that was great. So, when like the show that we're doing, getting us together is the hardest thing.
That's the greatest triumph. It's logistics. Yeah.
Getting it together. I mean, it was hilarious when we go, right, we'll do this concert, end of August. Right, when's your rehearsal? When can we get together? And literally there was like 3 dates that the three of us could do. It was insane. But that's brilliant. And also then when we do have these rehearsal dates where we do get together, we just chat for the first hour because we haven't seen each other, and it's crazy, but it's wonderful. And I love that. I think that's it. That's what's beautiful about our relationship as a collective, and that probably spreads throughout, the Wicked community, is that there is a real bond there. There's a real understanding. There's a real bond of friendship. None of us see each other very often, but whenever we do come back together, it's really special. And that's what's going to be beautiful about this evening that we're going to do at Drury Lane. Just us coming together and being so proud of each other, so proud of what we're going to create, and being able to share that on stage with not only us on stage, but share it with the people that have supported us all over the years and are going to come out and enjoy that evening.
And what's gorgeous is to have 3 women who have been and still are very successful, to just be stood on the stage together and show each other so much support. And it doesn't have that energy of it being a competitive night, a competitive space. It's just not that. And that's really actually refreshing, to feel like you're really sort of rallying behind these people and are so genuinely excited to be there and hear your friends who are also incredible superstars singing their hearts out. That's just lovely, because as Kerry said, it's kind of, it takes that pressure off of feeling like, oh my God, I've got to do bigger, I've got to be better. It's just about being in that moment with people you really care about and really love singing with, singing great music, and just having a good time, and for that friendship and the chat to be just genuine as well.
So what can audiences expect in terms of, what do you know that we don't know about, sort of set list or other surprises on the night, without giving too much away, obviously? 'Cause, it can't just be the Wicked songbook from start to finish. There's got to be some other juicy bits along the way.
Well, yeah, we're not going to do any Wicked at all.
Nice.
Put any in.
Yeah.
I hope that's okay.
Yeah.
No, we wanted to make sure that anything obviously outside of Wicked that we're singing, that comes from a real authentic place, either from our past careers, maybe stuff that we'd like to possibly do in the future, stuff that's touched us or shaped us in certain ways, and then So that might be different for me than it is for Kerry, but actually, so then we then find a middle ground or a genre or a song or a couple of songs that we know and love, and then have found that bridge that makes it authentic for the both of us or for the three of us. You know what I mean? So that has been lovely to find, but also extremely tricky.
Yeah, so hard. We could have had a 10-hour show. It was
literally a 10-hour show.
I think that could be a world record you could set, like longest show at Theatre Royal Drury Lane. Like when Ruth Wilson did that 24-hour one at the Young Vic, you could do that, but for musicals. I think that
all of us like with a husky growl,
nodules,
just like I think I try.
And has it been sort of like, have you had fans that have followed you through, so sort of seen you sort of in one show and then trekked if they've gone to go and see Evita or come from away or gone off to see plays that you've been doing, even like The Importance of Being Earnest, and be like, I saw you in Wicked and I really want to now capture you in another show in another context? And is that nice of like, I know sometimes stage drawing can get there can be that intensity now, and I think a lot of people say that it can be quite intense, but also there can be that sort of fondness and that connection that forms as a result.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, I think Wicked was a big part of that. Like Rachel said earlier, there's people that have made their own communities by meeting at stage doors, that they would camp out at Wicked. They would literally get their tents on a Friday night or whatever to get the Saturday ticket. So these people were meeting and going through all these different emotions and experiences with each other. So therefore, I think for them, it's nice for them to then go and meet up on other shows. And I think we connect them like that. So if we are doing different things, it takes them, to different places. A lot of the people that support me regularly say that, they kind of say, well, I wouldn't have come to see this play in this place if it wasn't for you. And it's brought me to wherever, Scotland or whatever, where it is. And they're seeing different places and experience different things. And I think people quite like that. Mm-hmm. Musical theatre audiences tend to be quite friendly and quite loyal. So they're quite nice. They're nice people to have around, I mean, I did experience a very brief moment when I was touring with Brian, and kind of having that kind of rock star support as well was very different to a musical theatre supportive audience. They're very different beasts, and the theatre audiences, they do follow you and they do support you in whatever you're doing, and that's wonderful. That's gorgeous. And I think, again, going back to this concert, it's going to be like going home for everybody, and they're going to I feel like there's going to be a real community of people in this audience that have seen each and every one of us individually, collectively, and I feel like it's just going to be a really nice celebration of an evening for them and us.
What that reminded me of, I don't know if you've seen this TikTok where there's someone sat in front of a TV, turned away from it, and people were cycling through the different war cries from Defying Gravity, and that just by listening they could tell who it was performing, and it was from Broadway and the West End, and it was incredible. And I think they'd done it in response to the film, sort of seeing how the film had. Is it now quite fun that these whole new groups of fans are finding that archive stuff and sort of like responding to it, and like taking those old sort of like interviews that you guys did or footage and being like, oh my gosh, and then sort of like bringing that into the present day?
Yeah, it is. They're reliving, they're examining Wicked from, it's like Kerry said, by the new generation, they feel like they found Wicked. Actually, it's 20 years old, or maybe longer, but when you feel like you found something, like, somebody might come across those war cries on YouTube and be like, oh, wow, this is exactly what I needed to hear today, when there's a catalog of it, like, but, it's for me, I love that the theatre is live, and you go and you hear it live, and you never hear it again that way. That's for me what I think theatre is and should be. And these comparisons of war cries and stuff, I mean, maybe they're celebrating as well. It's fine, but it's like just and hearing Cynthia's what her take on the war cry at the end of the movie was spectacular, because you go, well, there you'd have thought everybody has covered that. There's no other way you could do it, and there she did. Because for us, it has to come from your solar plexus. It has to come from your set, So I love the history that the war cry has, but it's, you know, it's a live beast. You need to find that live, I think.
Yeah, we all find it hard, I think, to just be in the moment these days, don't we?
Yeah.
There is something, I mean, listen, it's always lovely when you, because it's lovely memories for us as well, when someone sends you something and says, oh my God, I've just seen this, remember this? And because, I mean, I, for one, would never go searching for it, because most of the time it's terrible audio, terrible visual. You're like, oh God. But if someone sends you something lovely, it does bring back incredible memories, and the goosebumps come flying out, and it's really, really lovely. But exactly as Rachel said, it's just like, just be in that moment and just live it then. There's something really special about fully being there, being present, and just really embracing the live theatre. You've paid a lot of ticket money to be sat there to just enjoy it.
And one of the things that struck me about the concert is also, it's not just a celebration of you guys, but also how Wicked has become this pillar within the West End in terms of ushering in these amazing new talents, or celebrating these amazing new talents that either have made their names through Wicked, or made their names and then gone into Wicked, and their names have continued to astound. And I think I can't really think of many shows that have sort of helped to generate that level of talent engagement, that you've taken people and pushed them out into a whole new audience. And the fact that the show can continue to do that and make people into stars is so lovely, because I think that it's almost like this amazing talent is given this opportunity to shine, and now, however many years later, can then sell out Theatre Royal Drury Lane and be full of like excited fans.
I think Wicked set such a high bar of expectation, vocal, comedy chops, acting. You know, it really does, I think, separate the wheat from the chaff when it comes to ability and talent. And I think that's how, you know, if you can be at that bar, at that level, you know, I think you're only going to, you can only succeed because you have the chops, you have the ability, and Wicked kind of catapults you into that world and those audiences. And so I think that's what's been so brilliant about how Wicked has, what it's done for women, for vocals. There was nothing written like this before Wicked, you know. And I do think, you know, we stand on Adina's shoulders, because this was a very, very hard score to sing for a woman at her age. Any woman really of a belt, you know. So I know it wasn't easy for. It took me 3 months to sing the score into my voice. It took, you know, I've total vocal rest whenever I wasn't there, and so it really set the bar. And you know, so I think you can only thank Wicked for, you know, making us the best we could possibly be, I think.
And these are two like massive dream roles for so many people. I mean, I speak to students and young people who are sort of just entering the industry, and it's like that's the goal, that is the ultimate for me. And so when people get that call to say they're going to play one of these roles, I think it is something really, really very special. Of course it is when you get any like wonderful role in any show, but there's just something about Glenda and Elphabas and Wicked that is just feels like, my God, I've made it, and all that hard work has been worth it. There's lots still to come, but it's just, you know, it's a huge box ticks for so many people.
Funny you're talking about education. I had to, my wife told me I had to tell you that Kerry, I think you gave her a singing lesson once when she was working part-time. She's doing some part-time stuff at GSA as a student, and she still to this day is like raving about how wonderful you were. She went into choir more. I think she was sort of like more on the choral side, but she always had a musical theatre streak, and said that was one of her favorite experiences, was being taught by you. So she's like, you have to tell Kerry Ellis that this is what happened. So
Bella, thank you very much. Oh, that's lovely. That's so nice. I mean, I love that you know, the show, but also our world. You know, I think the show does help put you on a platform. It does help with the exposure, but then, you know, like all three of us, the roles that we've gone on to play and have played before that haven't been, you know, a breeze. They've been big roles to play. But what I do love is that it reaches people, and it doesn't matter if it's like, it might be theatre students, it might be choirs, it might be schools, and it does kind of get it out there, and then you can kind of, you know, branch out and teach and do other things and connect with other people in different areas, which is lovely. It's so lovely.
And it was also incredible seeing so many sort of like talents that had either been in Wicked or had Wicked as one of their favorite shows featuring in the Wicked film, because it's almost like there's like the circle is completed, that the people who loved Wicked then were either in the ensemble or had quite significant roles in the film. That must have been quite nice to sort of like see that process, that journey from sort of like the beginnings right the way through to, you know, almost $1 billion box office success.
It's really cool and really exciting to see those faces up there, and also rightly so. It's like you've been part of this show, and to have some people sprinkled throughout in whatever capacity is really lovely, and you know, shows such respect for everybody who has been a part of the Wicked community. Yeah, it's really exciting.
I think Kerry, did you say at some point that you might be attached in some way to? I was looking out for you in the first half. I couldn't spot, but is that something that I would, like, John M. Chu would come to me with a hatchet if I tried to say too much?
I mean, let's you know what? Let's just say that the three of us had a really lovely couple of days together, and if you go and watch the second one, just look out for some familiar faces.
You might see people who look a bit like us.
Yeah, it'd be pure coincidence.
Wow, I feel like I was like pulling at something and then I got something far larger than I ever expected. Yeah.
You got a little exclusive there, Alex.
This is when it ends up on the cutting room floor and we're like mortified. Because we're like, we were there. We've got no, you know, no proof, but we were. Saying we're the stars of the movie might be a bit much, but I think just to say we're in it.
Yeah, we have lovely little cameos, and that was lovely of Universal and Wicked to kind of go, oh yes, you know, and it's like a lovely little pat in the back of saying thank you and well done, and let's, you know, come together and keep telling the story that, you know, that we were part of.
There was actually, I think I saw a tweet, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that someone had spotted that the girl who said, I don't know what her name is, the one who says, Glenda, they said that you were a friend at school, or that line from the film is one of the swings in Evita, and everyone got really excited, and she has this single line in the film, but she has just sort of like got this huge following just as a result of something small.
Love that.
It's sort of like the Red Berry girl in Matilda, where
I was about to say that. Yeah, it's lovely when those things happen and people just cling on to that. It's lovely.
I think it's people also then, like the wider sort of like non-musical theatre going industry, realizing just how incredibly talented there are people that, you know, might not get the big Hollywood billing, but are still doing incredible work, making these scenes pop and making things come to life. It was funny because I was speaking to Adam James, who was playing Glinda's dad, and he was saying that he did like a full day of like improvising, coming up with funny lines, and then like half a line in the final film, because it was just like you say, it can be so brutal with the film experience. At least with theatre, you know that the lines you're saying are going to hit the audience.
Yeah, brutal.
Similar thing with, I remember on the Les Mis film, and we were there for days, and I did the bit in the inn, and we did whole choreographed scenes and routines, and we were there for days, and it was amazing, and we were like singing the song, and then you look at the edited version, it's just like it goes by so fast, and there's lots going on obviously, but it's, you know, you have such a lovely day filming and being, you know, on set and experience it, and then you just have no idea what the outcome is going to be, and that's such a difference with movies to theatre. We all know what's going on with the thing, you know, there's a through line, you get to tell a story from start to finish every night, it's live. Whereas a movie, you go in, you do your bit, and you go away, and you have no idea kind of what's, you know, where that's going to happen in the movie. So, they're very different beasts. Very different.
So we'll see if we are in it. We'll see.
Yes. Well, nominally, hopefully, yeah.
Much of a surprise to you as it is to us.
I mean, I had one final question then before I'll let you go, guys. I mean, one of the obvious things I hear from every single new Elphabet is the green paint of it all, and I mean, Kerry, you were there from sort of like the start of the UK in terms of getting that off and then reapplication and stuff. Has that changed over the years in terms of how they've made that easier for people, or is it still just as hard as it was day one?
I think it's exactly the same. And what was interesting, what was fun, was I remember like early on when we must have been about 6 months in, I think, and I think Shrek was about to open, or Shrek was about to. I think it was about to open in London, and I remember having conversations or hearing the conversations between the makeup people and saying, what do they use for Elphaba? Because we want to use it on Shrek and do the same kind of thing because it stays on and blah 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 blah. So it became a bit universal. But no, I honestly, I mean, we've got friends that have just started to do it in LA, and I think it's and she posts the same process. I think it's exactly the same. I think it's kind of a tried and tested machine that works. So it's like don't even break it. I think. I mean, I might be wrong, but I think it's still the same.
I used to be out before Louise was dressed. I used to be down at stage door with a green halo around my whole face. Like I didn't care enough. I just wanted to get home.
So on the Jubilee line with it, just
hearing people talk about you, you're like la, 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 la.
Yeah.
I guess it's like a badge of pride to some extent as well, isn't it? Like I've just completed one of the hardest tracks in the West End. Like, you should respect me for this.
Or people just think you look a little bit poorly.
The Joneses.
Wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time. I cannot wait to see what you have in store for audiences at Drury Lane. I feel as though it's going to be one of those things that people talk about for years to come because it has been many years in the making and there's so much love for you all. And yeah, I just think it's one of those beautiful things that the West End can provide is that level of community and celebration that, yes, cannot be overstated. So no, thank you for giving it to us to finally find the time to come together and enjoy the heat wave.
So much. Thanks.
See you in August.
See you soon. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the What's on Stage podcast. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, and tune in for our main episode on Friday when we'll be talking about burlesque, as well as what happens when the critics become part of the story.